Before we get started, I'd like to shout out the website that I found with all of these really nice art pieces, as well as some interesting lore involving the translation process going from the Japanese into English and what it has been lost with that. That will be down below in the description and on screen now. Please check it out. This is a very fascinating process to me, as I have always enjoyed etymology and linguistics. So please do check this out. Their art is amazing and will be used in any more videos I make of this variety. Thank you. Hello, and welcome back to another video. This is a bit different than what I was expecting to do, but I do hope that you find it to be well worth your time. This is my monthly video for February. It's, again, coming out a bit later than I was hoping, but due to events in my life, this is now when it is coming out. So, hope you all enjoy, and without any further ado, let's get started. This time around, we will be covering a boss ranking for Dark Souls 1, Artorias of the Abyss. So, with all 4 bosses, technically 5, but that's neither here nor there at this point. Let's get started and rank them as follows. First on our list, we have the Sanctuary Guardian fight. This fight is rather unremarkable. Its main draw being, of course, the electricity used by the boss. It has flying, which is not very well animated, but that is purely a relic of its time. As for the design, it is very clearly a chimera of sorts, supposedly based off the lore being a demon. So it would be interesting to go deeper into that, and it has been a while since I've seen any of the Vati stuff on this. Like a lot of the other bosses of this variety, it has a tail, and as such, the tail can be cut off. This boss, while not very hard, is also not very enjoyable in the process. It's not bad by any means. It is, as its name suggests, the Guardian of the DLC. The attacks are faster, it's got a bit more variety. Clearly, a lot of work has been put into it to make it a pretty decent fight. I just don't particularly find it interesting. And as such, given that it is the Guardian of the DLC, it gives you a general idea of what you're looking for. The attacks are faster, and everything just builds together for a more cohesive boss. The main thing that's of note with the electricity is the fact that if it hits the water, it'll radiate outwards, possibly hitting you 2, 3, maybe even 4 times of damage. So that is something to be aware of when you're playing through it. But if your character is properly leveled, this boss should barely be an issue for you. And as such, it's getting thrown right there. Up next on the docket, we have the selling point of this DLC, Knight Artorias. He is, unsurprisingly, this game's reference, as all Dark Souls games must have, Kimura's Berserk, particularly Guts. And as such, he has the big sword, the darkness, the segmented armor, the whole 9 yards, and dear God is he a fun fight. Lots of flips, movements, lunges going across the entire arena. Fun. In my opinion, he is easily the most difficult boss fight in this DLC that is enjoyable. Every single thing he does is fairly well telegraphed. There are some moves that I feel are a little bullshit, namely the occasional flips that just immediately wipe your entire health bar, when occasionally flips that look exactly the same only take like a third of it, which can be a bit annoying, though I will admit my build at this point is slightly that of a glass cannon, using pyromancy and a spear. So, this boss is easily my favorite within the DLC, which is a very basic opinion to have. He's a good fight, the lore is magnificent, his weapon is fun, and the main one I ended up using for my Gale video, if you want to take a look at that. All in all, he is magnificently designed, the broken arm being a wonderful thing to see, with one of my favorite character tropes being the fallen knight who either fell to the darkness or died protecting their comrades, or trying to stop some greater evil, which is something, unsurprisingly, Knight Artorias has in spades. There's a reason that he was one of the pioneers for the Prepare to Cry videos, that eventually he made a certain YouTuber almost a staple within the FromSoft category of videos, and as such, he is difficult but not oppressive, and as such, he's getting his spot right there. Next up, we have the large boss coated in outer worldly energy, large hand, massive club-like weapon with projectiles, named Manus, or hand in Latin. Rather fitting, and as such, there seems to be an issue. Why are we playing Lies of... Oh, we're talking about Manus, not Manus. Both bosses having the same name, same general design and moveset is a bit of a fun, maybe not coincidence, but homage. Manus, in possibly one of my more controversial takes, and most likely the only one in this video, I find Manus to be far easier than Artorias. His grab attack, which, according to the wiki, is not a grab attack, just a combo that completely lifts you off the ground and keeps you from doing anything for your entire health bar as he picks you up and bats you around, being one of the only major issues. Everything else can easily be countered with a bit of placement and, more importantly, for some of the more aggressive magics, namely his shotgun blast, can easily be countered with the amulet. It's interesting as we get a bit of a more bullet hell style boss fight here, having to weave in between all of the projectiles, which will quickly obliterate you. Something you will have noticed about this fight, I only seem to have footage of me fighting it with Sif. Something I was attempting to do on a run I did a while back for fun, though I could not tell you why. That is the only footage I have of him. But, randomly lost footage aside, he is very enjoyable. Maybe not as much as Artorias is, and not as difficult, but he is absolutely wonderful to fight against. The run back can get a bit annoying, but it's a good place to farm humanity for the inevitable summoning I had to do with Sif. But all in all, good fight. The first thing we see of the DLC with his gnarled hand reaching out and grabbing us across space and time. And with his large presence in Dark Souls 2, the lore on him is truly fascinating. After all, I think everyone would get a bit annoyed if our favorite amulet went missing and we got woken up. And I don't know the rest of the lore. Go watch Vati if you need something like that. The last actual boss on our list, and easily my least favorite, maybe of the entire game, is Black Dragon Calamite. Now here, I must confess something. I do not enjoy dragon fights. They are always either too easy, too annoying, or way, way too janky. as their first real go at it, Black Dragon Calamite I can see being a very good fight. And in my opinion, it is by far the hardest fight in the entire game. He has a massive amount of health, and he can just tank everything you throw at him. His design, on the other hand, is really fun. The abyssal energy going off of him, assuming it's something along the lines of that, though it may just be a darkened scale from his biology or something. His design is truly striking, known as, shockingly, the Dragon of Calamity, considering he drops the Calamity Ring, which has probably one of my favorite grab attacks in terms of what it does. You don't get damage, you just get an effect that deals double damage to you. So, you have to be a bit careful with that. And yes, it will make you regret wearing headphones. And no, I am not playing that sound effect. I don't want to spark up my tinnitus again. But, for all this praise I've been giving his design and actual lore and his appearances in later games, particularly in Archdragon Peak, I do not like the fight. It is easily my least favorite in the entire game. It is very, very difficult with janky hitboxes, probably the jankiest in the entire DLC, as everything else is very, very well polished. And as a side note, the run back is a bit annoying. You have to deal with a bunch of dogs who will all jump at you, and they're not too difficult to deal with, but they're FromSoft dogs. They take a bit more of your focus than you would prefer. And as such, he is getting a place far in the upper left corner. And so, having wrapped it all up, what are your thoughts on this? And after all, wait, what do you mean we're forgetting a boss? No, I don't count that as an actual boss. Yes, I do know I mentioned 5 bosses. Well, for the 5th entry on our list, very ramshackled put together, we have the dual Sanctuary Guardians. If you manage to head back, guess what? At the very start where you fought one Sanctuary Guardian, guess what? Now you have 2 Sanctuary Guardians. Fight is about the same. The only real difference, in my experience, is the AI is not designed to work together. It's meant to be a solo fight, and this is not a solo fight. AI could use some tweaking. It's, I would say, a bit less enjoyable than the original, but it's not all that difficult. It just requires the same general positioning, and instead of being able to take your time, you need to do a rushdown. And once the rushdown has happened, it's over. And given the fact that there is no actual boss health bar, I think you'll forgive me if I just have a quick note as to where it's placed. But with that, having all of our bosses ranked, this is our current positioning. Once more, please do check out the Lost in Translation of the website listed down below, Shatani's Lair. The art is beautiful, and unless something major comes up, I will be using all of their art in future videos. This has been the first entry in a series that I will probably be throwing out whenever I need to get a video done, but don't have anything in the cooker. So, as such, I hope that you all are having a wonderful night. Please do let me know your thoughts on this list below. Did I overestimate any? Did I underestimate any? Do you really like dragon fights for some reason? If so, please let me know how I am completely wrong and horrid, and that I should go jump into the abyss. But, as stated before, you all know the drill. Stuff down below, do with it as you see fit. And until next time, I'm Sven, and this is Elven Prince, signing out.